Hello everybody, welcome back. And if you're new, my name is Chris. About 5-6 months ago, I did a video entitled How to Smell Expensive on a Budget. I got a lot of positive feedback from that and have been asked to do a part 2 or even a part 3. Today is the part 2 day. I had several fragrances that could have made the list, but I'm going to do 10 today, and I'm going to save the rest for a part 3 in the future. And since I like round numbers, I chose 10 new fragrances for today's video. So if you are interested to see what I have for today's video, Smell Expensive on a Budget part 2, well then please stick around. I'm going to start the list with the fragrance that was recommended to me by a subscriber several months ago, and it is in an oil form. It is a perfume oil. And I typically shy away from perfume oils. I just prefer to apply my fragrance in the form of a perfume mist, but I went ahead and picked it up, and I am so glad I did. This is called Vanilla Musk by Nemat, and I will put a better picture of the little bottle on the screen over here. But this one smells like two things I absolutely adore. If I could get the lid off, it's spilled, and so the lid gets stuck every now and then. But this smells like Tijota, the fragrance Tijota, and it also smells like Vanilla Bean Noel. Oh my goodness, two things that I absolutely love. And I tell you what, I don't mind that this is in a fragrance oil. So I love it. I am so glad I picked it up. I had Tijota in a little decant, and I was thinking strongly about purchasing it, but now that I have this little beauty in my collection, I do not need to, and I'm going to be wearing this a ton as the weather turns colder. The next fragrance I have is a result of doing a sample swap with one of my dear friends, Melissa Jean, here on YouTube. She has introduced me to a lot of fragrances that I would never try because they tend to be celebrity fragrances or fragrances that are kind of hidden gems. And so when I smelled this fragrance, I immediately thought of another fragrance that I was testing out that's very expensive, called Silky Woods. And this fragrance that she sent to me is by Juicy Couture, and I have shied away from Juicy Couture because in the past they haven't always worked out for me, but this one has worked out just fine, and it is called Majestic Woods in this, frankly, this very pretty bottle. I kind of think the bottle's really, really pretty. So I did try Majestic Woods and Silky Woods, and this is not meant to be a dupe, and none of these I have here are dupes. That would be very easy to do a list of expensive fragrances based on dupes, but none of these, as far as I know, are dupes. But this one, yeah, I tried it side by side, and I would say that this one and Silky Woods is about 60 to 70% similar. This is also similar to Jazz Club by Maison Margiela. I would say that if Jazz Club and Silky Woods came together and made a fragrance, it would be very similar to this one. Silky Woods has a little bit more florals in the dry down. This one, the oud, I smell a little bit more sweet oud, and this one is just sweet and woody. It's very, very pretty. It has a little amber in it. The oud, I would say, is a baby oud. It's a very beginner oud because I'm not always a fan of ouds, but this is very lovely. So an ambery, sweet, woody, oudy fragrance. It's actually quite gorgeous. I think I got this for around $45 or $50, and the performance is actually quite good. I got it at least to last a half a day, and it has a moderate projection. It's just kind of the way I like it. I don't like my fragrances to be super loud. I like them to be a little bit more closer to me. So yeah, that's the second one. It smells a lot more expensive than the asking price. This next fragrance is actually a repurchase of mine. I got this fragrance when it first came out, I think 2010, 2011. I ended up giving it to my sister-in-law. She really liked it when I wore it one day. And then I think sometime last year, the beginning of last year, I bought another bottle because I saw it at a really good price and I kind of missed it. It is by a house that not a lot of people wear anymore, but it's by David Yurman. And this particular one is called Exotic Essence. And yeah, this one just reminds me of times past because it has a very heavy note of peach, and peach was really big in fragrances, 10, 20 years ago. Yeah, this is a fruity, woody, amber fragrance. It has a very strong note of peach and orange right off the top. It's very, very prominent. I actually really, really like it. It gives it a nice brightness, a nice juiciness. This has some florals in here. The rose is the most prominent to me. There is a note of patchouli, which I really like. The patchouli is a little bit sweet. And it dries into this kind of this sweet, woody musk. The musk comes out a little bit more. Even so, the peach and the orange still remain fairly prominent throughout the life of this fragrance. It has a really nice sweetness, mostly from the peach, and the ambery notes, or the amber accord, which may be too much for some people, but if you follow me, I really like sweet fragrances. I've rarely found a fragrance that is too sweet for me, so I really like this one. And I just checked the price, and I think this on Fragrance Net was $15 for this huge 3.4 ounce bottle. For me, the wear or the lasting power is moderate. I can get at least a half day, and then it becomes a skin scent. So another great fragrance that smells way more expensive than the teeny asking price. This next fragrance actually is fairly new. It came out in 2020, and the price has come down substantially since I purchased it, and now you can get it for a fairly reasonable price. It is by a jewelry house, and it's definitely one of the most beautiful bottles that I own. The bottle alone is just a showpiece, but the fragrance inside is equally as beautiful in my opinion if you're a rose lover. And this is all about the roses, and this is called Love Chopard by the House of Chopard that is known for making jewelry. So again, I absolutely adore the bottle, and this deep red color I think is supposed to personify the roses in here. This is rose, rose, and more rose. I think there are 5 different types of rose. There's all sorts of notes in here. It's a very complex scent. It starts out very spicy. It's spicy and sweet. There's cinnamon, pink pepper. It's a little bit citrusy, maybe from orange. So, and it's a little bit sweet. I like my fragrances sweet. This is not a jammy sweet rose. I have some very sweet rose fragrances. So if you're sensitive to a really sweet fragrance, this may be too sweet for you. It is not for me, and I have fragrances with rose in them that are a lot sweeter. I would say Oud Satin Mood is a lot sweeter, and my Nina Ricci Rose L'Extase Rose Absolute is a lot sweeter. So this is a slightly sweet rose, but not a terribly sweet rose. That's how I'm going to describe it. And maybe some of the sweetness also comes from some honey in here. There's honey in here. There's also brown sugar. If I haven't said it already, there's pink pepper. There is a note of cedar in here, which I definitely can smell. The cedar note is very strong. And to me, it keeps it from being too sweet, going into the really sweet category. Yeah, I think it kind of anchors it and makes it very likable. This one, I can get about 5 hours on. It's fairly strong, but then it kind of quiets down at the 5-hour mark. And like I said, it used to be really expensive when it first came out, and I just checked the price yesterday. I think for a 1.7 ounce bottle, you can get it around $55. So again, an incredible deal, a fragrance that looks and smells way more expensive than the asking price. Love Chopard. This next fragrance was in my shopping cart, one shopping cart or another, for 5 or 6 months. I cannot believe I did not purchase it because it is so incredibly inexpensive. And I think that's one of the things that kind of worried me. It was so inexpensive. I thought, how could it be really good if it's that inexpensive. And I wasn't a fan of the bottle, so I kind of waited on purchasing it. And then I heard about 3 of my friends here on YouTube talk about it at the same time, and I said, what the heck, I'm going to go ahead and purchase it. It was only, I think, $22 at the time, and so I am super happy that I got it. This fragrance smells way more expensive than the relatively low, or the very low asking price of $22, and is by Elizabeth Arden, and is called Fifth Avenue Royale. My friend Claire Smith and Veronica Says has talked about this. Oh, and my friend Amanda over at Italian Vintage Fragrances. So about the same time they all talked about it, and I thought, I'm just gonna go ahead and bite the bullet, and I'm super glad I did. This is a gorgeous fragrance that I will wear a ton as the weather turns cold. This is a cold weather fragrance, in my opinion, because this one is a sweet, woody, ambery fragrance. It has some soft suede in here and fruity notes. I don't know what the fruity notes are. I would guess probably raspberry, but it has a really nice fruity note to it that I think gives it a real nice, kind of lifts it up and gives it a little bit of freshness. I love the amber in here. I think there might be some oud. I could hardly smell it. It smells more woody and ambery than oudy to me. And I'm a big patchouli lover. There is patchouli in here. The patchouli is so nice and it's so well done, and it's very, very well blended. It is just a pretty, universally appealing fragrance in my opinion. I think the notes are very, very well blended, and it is a nice round fragrance. It's not a fragrance that smells like it's cheap. So the only thing is, at least on me, doesn't last forever, which is perfectly fine. I can get about 4 hours on me, and it tends to be kind of a quiet scent, but it's absolutely lovely. And I would highly recommend, if you like sweet, woody, ambery fragrances with a touch of a fruity note, to really get your nose on this. This one is fantastic, and I'm glad I finally purchased this bottle. The next one is another fragrance thanks to my dear friend Melissa Jean. She likes to sneak in fragrances in our sample swaps where she knows I would never try them, because I don't always give celebrity fragrance, or frankly I haven't given celebrity fragrances a fair shot in the past. And this fragrance really surprised me, and I'm very glad that she sent it to me, because I cannot believe it smells so good and it is so inexpensive. And it is by Rihanna, and it is called Rihanna Rouge. So first of all, let's just talk about this ginormous bottle. I think it's over 4 ounces, and I want to say I paid less than $25, maybe $22 for this fragrance. And when I smelled it, I immediately thought of that it smells similar to, it's not a dupe, it's not meant to be a dupe, but it smells very similar to one of my beloved fragrances, Bottega Veneta. I love that fragrance. It has a very similar vibe. The differences are there's a fruity element in here. I think it's plum, so there's a very strong and noticeable plum that really kind of jumps out at you, but it's blended so nicely with the patchouli. It has some sort of florals in here. The floral that I get mostly is, I think it's lemon blossom. It just smells a touch lemony, not lemony in a cleaner fragrance, but like in a blossom floral type of way. And it's actually pretty strong. And this also, like Bottega Veneta, is based on, or has a suede note, or a strong suede note or a chord in here. But the suede in here, ooh, it smells so nice. It's very smooth and well blended, in my opinion. It's not as sophisticated and elegant and deep of a fragrance that Bottega Veneta is, but I'm telling you, this, if you have a limited budget and you like that type of fragrance, you, in my opinion, cannot go wrong with this surprise one here. This was a sleeper hit. This next fragrance is by Mugler, and it is from the Mirror line. And I have two from the Mirror line. I have Miroir de Majestés and I have Joyeux de Miroir. And I was going to put Joyeux de Miroir in this one, but I changed it out at the last minute because I think Miroir de Majestés, this one is way more universally appealing and likable. And let me tell you, I think out of all the fragrances, this one smells the most expensive. This is a very rich, complex, deep fragrance, and I cannot believe that you can get this for, I think, around $55 on Fragrance Net. You put this in another bottle in a niche house and you can charge 3-4 times as much and people will buy it. It's just so good. Both this one and the Joyeux have oud in them, and I'm afraid of oud. I can't do all ouds. The ouds have to be very light, they have to be sweet, they have to be muted, they cannot be animalic oud. And this one has a nice, softer oud than the Joyeux one. And it's slightly spicy. There are florals in here. I think there are white florals, maybe ylang-ylang as well. There is a note of leather or suede and or leather that gives it a nice warmth, and there is some gorgeous incense. I smell incense in the dry down on this one. It has a nice sweetness from an amber accord. So again, I think it was $55. Gorgeous, stunning fragrance that smells way more expensive than the asking price Miroir de Majestés. The next one up is a flanker of the Charriol EDP fragrance that I showed in my very first video, and I'm not doing any repeats. So I wanted to do this flanker. This flanker is absolutely beautiful. The bottle is stunning, and this is called Charriol Imperial Sapphire. And the sapphire is for this beautiful sapphire blue bottle. I don't know if you can appreciate it from the camera, but this is just stunning. They come with these little rings. Sometimes they can fly off when you take the lid off, but anyways, you can wear it as a piece of jewelry. This one is extremely different. This is nothing like the original, and I'm not sure which one I like better. The original is definitely much stronger. This is a much more quiet, more demure fragrance, but this would be characterized as an incensey, woody floral. This has the florals in here. I think there is rose. There's definitely rose. I believe there's orchid, maybe frangipani. Not sure what else, but I definitely smell some kind of spicy florals. This has a gorgeous, I don't know if incense is listed. It has an incense vibe. I smell an incensey vibe in the dry down. This has a beautiful amberiness to it. It's gorgeous. It's very creamy. It's slightly caramely. It's sweet. There is definitely some creaminess from the sandalwood and a nice light touch of patchouli. So the cost of this one, I think this is running around $45, $50. It's absolutely gorgeous. If you like a powerhouse fragrance, this is probably not going to be your cup of tea. This is not a powerhouse. The original Charriol, in my opinion, is. This is a little bit more quiet, but I actually think in a lot of situations I prefer this one better. It just has that, I love that kind of exotic floral amber and incensey note with that sweetness. So gorgeous. So Charriol Imperial Sapphire. It's a gorgeous one. This next fragrance is for sure a love or a dislike. I don't really think there's any middle ground in here. This one has a lot of personality, and you're gonna love it or you're not gonna love it at all. And I found out about this one from Amanda over at Italian Vintage Fragrances. I will link her channel down below. And she did a whole series on Pascal Morabito. I have purchased 2 bottles from them, and this one is the fragrance that will do or is more appropriate for the colder months as we're heading into the colder months. And this is called Gold Edition Oud. There's no question, whether you love it or you hate it, that this smells very expensive. And I just checked the price last night. This is going for $20, and I believe this is a 3.4 ounce bottle. Pretty unbelievable. And this is a strong rose oud incense. This oud is an oud that I can take. If it was twice as strong, I probably wouldn't care for it. And my young daughter, who smelled this on me, said it smells really good. And she doesn't like a lot of fragrances that I own. So it is a likable, acceptable oud. I think it's a little bit smoky. There's some incense in here. There's a touch of saffron, I believe, that gives it a little leatheriness. Yeah, and I do like that incense note in here. I would say it possibly leans masculine, but you know, like all fragrances to me, you know, you do you. Everybody can wear anything, so it's unisex or might lean slightly masculine, but it's absolutely, it's unbelievable that this fragrance is $20, and I got around, I want to say a half day, 5-6 hours out of this fragrance. So yeah, gold edition oud. So the last fragrance is more of a fresher fragrance, and I'm saving the more fresher fragrances for part 3, maybe in the spring. But sometimes I just want a break from the heavy fragrances that I tend to wear in the cold weather, the incensey, the woody, the ambery, the spicy fragrance. Sometimes I just want a break. And this fragrance, I think, is perfect for that. It can work in the warm months, and it definitely, I think, can work in the colder months. And it is by, I've had a lot of luck with Montblanc, so I have explored a lot of the flankers. And so the flanker that I'm showing today, I have several, but the one that is going to round out the list is called Femme Individuelle in this kind of cute little bottle. This has notes that, if they are too strong, can be a deal breaker for me. So this has bay leaf in it, and it has pink pepper. Now I like pink pepper, but overwhelming pepper can be a deal breaker for me, and overwhelming bay leaf can absolutely be a deal breaker for me. And this, so the pink pepper and the bay leaf in this is just right. And I think it does well because there is a note of red currant or red berries, red currant, that kind of gives it a fruity freshness, and it kind of keeps it in the polite, very acceptable, likable zone for me. There's definitely rose in here, there's definitely musk, and there's definitely patchouli, and most likely amber has a little bit of sweetness. And I find that this fragrance is very invigorating. When I wear this, it just is an invigorating fragrance. I really, really like it, and I think it would do really, really well on a cold, crisp day when the sun's out. I would not wear this when it's raining. This just, to me, is a crisp fragrance, and I will be wearing it in the cold weather when it's nice and crisp and there's not a cloud in the sky. And I think I picked this up for definitely less than $30. I don't remember, but I think for sure less than $30, and it absolutely smells way more expensive than that tiny little asking price. So I will end the list with Femme Individuelle. So that does it. Part 2 of Smell Expensive on a Budget. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope several of you found some fragrances that you may be checking out and might enjoy in the future. And as usual, I would love to hear from you in the comments if you have any fragrances that smell really expensive for a small asking price. Again, thank you for sticking around. Thank you for watching me. Thank you for supporting me, and I will see you on the next one.